Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to a moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in just a few minutes, we have our Millennial Mom segment brought to you by Navé. And today we're featuring Diana Falzone. She's a contributing editor for the Daily Beast, and her past work has been in Vanity Fair, Vice News, Entrepreneur, and BuzzFeed. That's just to name a few. She was a reporter for Fox News Channel and had a popular column on military.com as well. Her stories cover everything from war to entertainment, breaking exclusives, and interviewing some of today's biggest newsmakers. Diana resides in New Jersey with her 5-year-old beautiful son, Alexander, and her new dog, Penelope. We're going to dive right in and explore Diana Falzone today. We're chatting life, career, infertility, and her amazing path to motherhood. Welcome to the show, Stunner.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It is such a pleasure to be here, and your kind words. I mean, wow, thank you for that intro.
Absolutely. I'm very excited. You look fantastic and ravishing. We have a lot of common friends. I'm finally excited to be able to feature you. Talk to me, Diana. What was the point in time in your career that you realized that life is so much more than press and hype? How did you start focusing on you?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think I was raised really well by two parents who were not at all in the media industry. Everything was about hard work, integrity, no matter what it was that you chose to do. But the center of it all was having character and having family values. So as much as I always placed career as an important goal of mine, my other most important goal was always to become a mom, always to have a family.
I love that. And motherhood is extremely, extremely rewarding if you know how to navigate it properly. Now, I know you mentioned infertility at some point.
Yeah.
Infertility is very much a common problem, actually, in the United States among heterosexual women aged 15 to 49 with no prior births. About 1 in 5, that's about 20%, are unable to get pregnant after 1 year of trying. So we have an estimated 15% of couples that are going to have trouble conceiving. And globally, Diana, this translates to close to 49 million couples will experience infertility. So it's a real thing, okay? Let's segue here. You struggled to get pregnant. How did it all change, and what was that miracle moment for you?
So I actually had something happen where I wasn't trying to get pregnant. What ended up going on was that I was really sick, and I didn't know why I was sick. I was in and out of ERs with debilitating pain, bleeding, and could not get answers. Was told I had a flu, was told I could have a hormonal imbalance. And then it was a specialist that I saw who said, I have a very high suspicion that you might have endometriosis, which affects 1 in 10 women or those born with a uterus in the United States. And that's a big number. That's 200 million globally, worldwide. It's a big number. So then she said, just to be on the safe side, and I wasn't even 33 yet, and I was at the peak of my career, and she said, you know, let's do something called an AMH test. I didn't know what that was. It's an anti-Müllerian hormone test to test the egg reserve, how many eggs you have left. So simple blood test, any lab can do it. And she said, you should be fine. Well, a few days later, she calls me. She said, okay, I really believe that you have endometriosis, but we won't know for sure until we do a laparoscopy, biopsy the tissue. She said, but I have some bad news. Are you sitting down? And that was a life-changing moment. And she said, your egg reserve is like a 0.07, which was that of a menopausal woman. And I was floored going back to my biggest goal, becoming a mom one day. And I couldn't understand what that meant. I said, well, what does this mean? And she said, well, you're not sterile. Sterile would mean that you're completely barren, you don't have any eggs, but you have eggs left, but your reserve is so low. The chances of you ever getting naturally pregnant is like zil. And you will need some sort of medical intervention or assistance like IVF, in vitro fertilization. So I ended up undergoing surgery for endometriosis. That was successful to get me out of the pain, also kind of clear me, so to speak, so that I could go through the egg freezing process. And then me and my long-term partner at the time, we decided to embark on doing an embryo transfer, which resulted in having my son Alexander, who is now about to turn 4.5.
I love this. This is such a beautiful story. He is your miracle baby. I mean, yes, of course. And when you look back, infertility can be caused by uterine or cervical abnormalities, fallopian tube damage, uterine fibroids, endometriosis, like in your case, early
Mhm.
menopause, the list goes on and on. But even cancer treatment or severe psychological distress also will affect that, right? But right now, we have societal attitudes about women working outside of the home that are gradually shifting, and I'm kind of going to segue to career here. So today, less than 19% of our population agrees that women should return to traditional roles, but 75% disagree. So this is a very big shift from the 80s, right? Where people thought that women should be, staying at home and raising the kids. It's regardless of shifting societal attitudes, mothers in the workplace definitely fear pressure to be successful at work and in parenthood. And the pressure includes accommodating special requests from coworkers and children, such as working longer hours, involvement in school organizations, or participation in your child's extracurricular activities. So it's not easy. How has
No.
motherhood changed you, and has it affected your career?
I think it has made me have to really be good with my time. The idea in the past that I could procrastinate or put things off, it's gone. It's like everything is managed down to the minute for me, because as you know, as a mom, it's you, when they're in daycare, pre-K, or you have someone assisting home with you while you're working, it's like you only have X amount of hours to get most of your work day completed. And then I try to be as hands-on as possible, but with the industry I'm in, if news is breaking and he's in the bath, it doesn't stop. It's also like, here I am on my phone calling sources, trying to get information. He's in a bath, trying to keep him safe. I don't think I have it down pat at all. I just kind of go by the seat of my pants most of the time, depending upon the day. But I think what I've really learned is that they're only little ones. And especially this past Christmas, seeing the magic in him and how alive it was. And it was just so beautiful and incredible that I thought to myself, I'm stressing all the time about work, and he's only going to be this little one time, and it's going to fly by, because I can't even remember what it was like when I was, couldn't even sleep for the first 3 years, as I'm sure you can relate.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I think women have so much pressure. I mean, I would say, I wouldn't necessarily, it was judgment, but I faced people who say, oh my gosh, you don't stay home, you go to work. And then when you're working, people are like, oh, you have a child. And sometimes I find myself not wanting to tell anyone that my son is homesick from school, because I don't want them to think that I'm not going to be as effective of a colleague. So it is difficult. It's a hard thing to manage.
It's 100%. I couldn't agree more, especially women in media. Both you and I have these, careers in the spotlight, and managing children is not an easy task. But I equate my life to time management. I live in a box, like you said. If it's by every single hour is accounted for, it legitimately, like my husband craves for time with me because I have to slot him in. It's the way it sounds harsh, but it's the truth. So, whether you're a single parent or raising children with other individuals, I always say self-care is definitely necessary to function at your best and provide the best care for your family. All right, let's segue here. So you're a journalist, you're a contributing reporter for the Daily Beast. You've also been seen in Vanity Fair, Vice News, BuzzFeed. These are all big outlets. Your life has been in the spotlight for the most part. If there was a piece of advice that you could give to your younger self, Diana, what would it be?
To just continue to focus on the work and not what others think or say about you. And that there's always going to be a critic, and don't allow that critic to be amplified in your inner head. To just know that as long as you are doing things with the best of intentions, with sincerity, it's based in your truth, especially as a journalist, to just really mute out all the other noise and focus on what you do.
I love it. That's a great piece of advice. Mute out the undernoise. You should coin that. And how would you say that life in the spotlight has changed your life?
See, I always find that I'm at a weird in-between place, right? Because I'm not your school teacher that can live an anonymous life. So you can Google me and find out everything to where I grew up, to my birth date, to all of that fun stuff, to who I even dated in 2009, which, you know, who wants to look back at that? But I'm also not J-Lo famous, so I don't have the protections or the, you know, this kind of security that someone like J-Lo would have. So being kind of in this like middle realm of prominence is difficult because it's hard to be a public figure but still wanting to maintain that privacy so that everyone doesn't look you up and think that they know you in a way that might not necessarily, they're getting the broad strokes, they're not getting the nuance of who you really are. And sometimes they just want someone to meet me and get to know me as a mom on the soccer field, not as someone that they read about or heard about something they reported on and have a very passionate feeling about that topic, and they might be mad at me that I whistle blew about something, and just really get to know me as like, you know, hey, I'm just a mom like you. It's, you know, we're here in the same place in our lives.
I love it. And you know what? It's so important that women in media, but everywhere, stick together, because
Mhm.
I always say there's a special place in hell for women that don't help other women. You have, it's true. You have to uplift, and we have to uplift each other. And if we don't uplift each other, it's not the men that are going to uplift us. Although I
Yeah.
love my husband, I love men in general. I love they're part of a society. We need them, of course. But men, it's like an old boys club. They stick together in ways that they don't necessarily let the females in without strings attached. And those strings could be anything, but I just like to keep my circle tight. So thank you for coming on. You are an absolute inspiration. You achieved your dream. I was going to say, you know, my last question, we have 2 minutes left, is what is your biggest achievement and biggest regret? But your biggest achievement is Alexander. So I can already answer that for you. And I just wanted to thank you for coming on and being so transparent and so open and honest about your experience and your journey and your hardships. And just thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure. And I love how you are uplifting women and you are keeping us all together because, like you said, we're a team. We've got to stick together. We've got to be the girls club.
That's right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Guys, you definitely have to check out Diana Falzone, contributing editor at the Daily Beast. That was our Millennial Mom segment brought to you by Navé. And you can definitely check out Diana on the gram at Diana Falzone, or you could go to dailybeast.com for all her juicy reporting. You could also head to navi.travel to check out that amazing portal. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.